All right, Saints fans and Whodats from all over the world. This is Kyle T. Mosley of the Saints News Radio Network here with the professor from The Professor Speaks, Derek Stevens. And we could not delay any longer. We just had to keep our eyes and ears open all last night. And then we listened to what was being said and read a lot of inaccurate information that was being said, in our opinion, about what's happening, what surrounded the Brandin Cooks trade. But we just wanted to give our 2 cents on this this whole topic, Professor. If you guys had not known yet, Brandin Cooks has been traded to the New England Patriots for their first-round draft choice, as well as the Saints received a third-round draft choice from the Patriots, but the Saints also had to give up their fourth-round draft choice, which, in my opinion, made very little sense for a guy that we selected back in 2014 at number 20 in the draft, and we had to give up 2 picks of our own just to jump up to get him. So, Professor, how are you doing?
I'm going to try to stay as professor and not rant, because I'm going to try to stay professional, but I have a lot to get off my chest regarding this trade. I'm going to start by stating this very clearly. Coach Payton and Mickey Loomis, with this trade, may have cost themselves, or if not both, or one of them, may have cost themselves their job this year because of this trade. And
wow.
That's how serious I think of a mistake they have made.
Oh, that's pretty serious. You really think this is a job-threatening type of move?
I'm going to tell you why, KT. For those you know, I call KT. I don't want y'all to think we got a third person on here. I'm going to tell you why. I have been stating this for quite a while. I'm not sure what the reporters in New Orleans nor the mainstream media in New Orleans, what film that they are watching. The New Orleans Saints offense struggled in 7 games. They won 2, they lost 5. In 6 of those games, they did not score over 26 points. They were 1-5. San Diego game, they were struggling in that game, but the defense, hear me, for all of you that like to always blame the defense won that game and got them 3 consecutive turnovers that allowed the Saints to score, have 2 short fields to get 14 points, and then a third one saved the game. You seem to be, for me, everyone seems to forget the New York Giants game. Y'all seem to have forgotten the Denver game. Y'all seem to have forgotten the Seattle game. You seem to have forgotten the second Carolina game. You absolutely must have forgotten the Detroit game and the Tampa Bay game in Tampa Bay. You all must have forgotten these 7 games where the Saints offense was anemic. And so do you really think that getting rid of Brandin Cooks, and do you really think Brandon Coleman, nothing against Brandon Coleman or Tommy Lee Lewis, or Ted Ginn, do you really think you're going to be able to get rid of and find a wide receiver with, I think it's 25, somewhere between 23 to 25 touchdowns in 2 seasons and 10 games and almost 3,000 yards? And you think your system is that great that you'll be able to put anybody in there? I want to remind you that Robert Meacham and Devery Henderson, in their heydays, the most yards either one of them ever got was 800 and 750 yards respectively. So, to me, to continue to do this to Drew Brees, you got rid of Jimmy Graham, you got rid of Darren Sproles, now you've gotten rid of Brandin Cooks. And for you to think that you can continue to go to the Super Bowl with this Hall of Fame quarterback and you consistently get rid of his weapons, and you have an unproven Kobe Flinger, we don't know what's going on with Josh Hill. Travaris Cadet is not Darren Sproles. And Brandon Coleman, nor Tommy Lewis, or Jim Jr., they're not Brandin Cooks. Michael Thomas, who you all have heralded the new king. You got to remember who was on the opposite side of them, not who who were on the opposite side of him. Their names were Willie Snead and Brandin Cooks. Michael Thomas was open because Brandin Cooks, they had to watch out for him. He was the established receiver that everybody had the game plan for. Michael Thomas was an unknown. So usually in that first season, an unknown will do well because they don't know anything about you. Do you really think next year with no speed that the teams are going to sit there and not double-team Michael Thomas and they're going to bank on, well, Willie Snead will have to beat us, or Brandon Colvin, or Tommy Lee Lewis, or Ted Ginn Jr.? Really, Saints? Really? Do you really think that? And you struggled in 7 games, but yet all you guys want to talk about is the defense stuff. I'd have you go back and look at some stats that in the 8 or 9 last games, with the exception of the Arizona game, that defense did not give up more than 1 touchdown in the second half of any of those games. I want you to know that it was the Saints offense that turned the ball over in the Raiders game that made a difference also. Not only Will Lutz missed the field goal, but the Drew Brees fumble. I want you to know in that Atlanta game, the Drew Brees interception and the Tommy Lee fumble caused them to lose that Monday night game. I want you to know that the Saints offense turned over the ball. I want you to know Brandin Cooks had no turnovers last year. So when you don't value a 23-year-old wide receiver because he said have the Swayze roll, closed hands, don't feed the mouth, or whatever have he stated it, and you get angry, this is no dictatorship, Coach Sean Payton. That's no reason. And for all you that are lying on this man, that he was a cancer in the locker room, that he was a problem maker, that's a lie. Why aren't y'all saying anything to Michael Thomas and Willie Snead for their smirking remarks they made on Twitter publicly about this man? It was after all of that and all the lies about is he on the trade block and the different 5 personalities that Coach Payton showed in this match, I don't blame Brandin Cooks if I wanted out of it. There was no hope for him staying with this team. And I don't want to hear this BS. We couldn't afford to pay him. He's proven it. When Marcus Colston didn't even have the numbers he had, y'all seem to forget Marcus Colston missed almost a full season in 2007. He didn't have nowhere the numbers that Brandin Cooks, and you gave him a big contract when it was time. So I don't want to hear this malarkey. We didn't want to have to pay him. Well, you don't want to win the Super Bowl. Drew Brees is 38.
Right.
So you know what? Thanks, mainstream media, NOLA.com, Times Ticket Unit, and all you minions that are trying to make it so great, like this is a decent trade, and the Saints have done it in pre-agent. Stop the BS, because ain't nobody buying it. Take your BS ticket and ride it back out of town, because nobody is buying this stuff y'all trying to sell us, even with some of these free agents pick up. The best thing they've done thus far is get the guard from Detroit and re-sign Nick Fairley. And the jury's still going to be out on the guard because he's known for a run blocker. And he's coming to a system that throws the ball a lot. But you didn't want to pay Jared Evans after he had a Pro Bowl-type year. Take him one more time. Yep, I understand you have to do business. I'm an accountant. Just so you know, I'm a very educated man. I have 5 degrees. So you're not talking to no fool. That's why they call me the professor. But let's stop the BS. Let's stop it. Just always running people out of town. I'm directing it directly to you, Coach Payton, and I have the utmost respect for you. But this running people out of town because a young man says something, as if you're Adolf Hitler, well, you're going to find yourself right on the sidelines or dead from coaching this team just like Adolf Hitler's did, because another 7-9, nothing but the playoffs, it's going to be time for you to go. Time for you to go. I pray that the 32nd pick and the 11th pick that you get this draft correctly this time. I pray that you get it right. But look at your track record. Now Cooks is gone, so that whole draft class is gone. Kenny Vaccaro, don't bank on you staying after this year with the Saints. They're not going to want to pay you either, bro. So you're probably on your way out. So none of your number ones are on the team except for barely Buck Ingram, because you let him go in free agent. You didn't try to keep Buck Ingram. Cam Jordan is the only one. And okay, Andrews Pete, jury's still out on him. He's improving. Jury's still out. You've ruined the psyche of Stephon Anthony. Just totally ruined the psyche of this young man. Because he played well his rookie year. Now all of a sudden he can't play. He can't call plays. He's not intelligent of all of the debauchery things that y'all have said about this man that has gotten out to the public that should have stayed on Airline Highway and should have stayed closed in the locker room. So you've ruined that draft pick. So I don't hear nothing about Jeff Ireland. And the 15 class, P.J. Williams, still questionable. Gary Grayson, still questionable. Damian Swan, questionable. Okay, Marcus Murphy, might as well start packing his bag because you got Ted Ginn Jr., who's going to be so dynamic and great punt return and kickoff return. I want to give you a little tidbit. If Ted Ginn Jr. don't have no blockers like Marcus Murphy and Tommy Lee Lewis is there, it don't matter how well he was in Carolina. You're going to still have the same problem if you don't fix your special teams blocking. So now you got a 15 draft class with a whole bunch of question marks that don't look so great either. The jury is still out on Sheldon Rankins, the gentleman David from Canada that you draft. Michael Thomas, 1 year, check. We're going to see if this continues for 2 to 3 years to put whether we can keep the A on Michael. Vaughn Bell making progress. Daniel Lesko, okay. So this draft here, you got 3 potentials. 3 potentials, maybe one from the class for that. 4 potentials out of 12 years, 11 years of drafting. Does anyone really believe and trust the Saints' ability to evaluate and select the right person with a trade for Brandin Cooks at the 32nd pick? And you give up a 4th round or 2? And you give up a draft pick? And you get an additional 3rd.
That's what I couldn't understand.
The 32nd pick is really a 2nd rounder.
I could not understand giving up a draft pick. I could not do it, man. And it did not make any sense, Professor, to give up any draft picks to me to be able to make this deal. If those guys were very serious about wanting Brandin Cooks, what you got? What are you offering to us? I'm not going to give you anything. You want my guy. You want to make your team better. I want to make my team better. But I'm not, by extracting a highly productive player who we picked at number 20, I believe, that year, right? Yeah.
20 or 18. I know they moved up.
They moved up to get the kid, right? Yeah, he was number 20 that year. And they moved up. The Saints acquired the pick from Arizona in exchange for their 1st and 3rd round picks. So we gave up a number 27 pick and the 91st pick to be able to move up to get Cooks. So, all right. So, in essence, what we did was pretty much give those picks back and gave them over to the Patriots. It didn't really make any sense, especially when you had a team like the Titans who had a higher draft pick who were interested in him, and they probably would have given up more in the long run. So I don't know if that deal decided to fall through. Titans decided to refocus on what they were going to do, but it just does not make any sense all in all. I got to read something to you, Professor, from Coach Rick Gailey. He said, by his calculations, New Orleans had traded the 20th pick in 2014 for the equivalent to what will be in 2017, the 30th pick in the draft. So, still, that's not equivalent, in any means when it comes to the type of picks that we need to have. Okay, this is what I want to address this point. And I'm glad Deuce McAllister, who is well respected in the industry, as well as Zach Strief. He came to Brandin Cooks' defense as well last night, and Teron Armstead. Brandin Cooks, and I saw a couple of media guys that I know put out that Brandin Cooks was a cancer in the locker room. And these guys spent more time with him than we did, ever did. We just watched him from afar. The guy was not a cancer. It's a lie. It's something that was perpetuated after that Rams game because the kid wanted to get the football. And let's be honest with you. If you're running up 49 points on the team, why wouldn't you target me at least one time? I want to get, yeah, I want to get the football too.
I played football and I played basketball. And I'll be honest with you, I wanted the football, and when I played basketball, I was